must be either doing something illegal,
or taking money. Everyone wants to know everything. And if they don't know per se, then they fill in the blanks with the knowledge of what they think it is. You've lost the ability to be kind to each other. You can have different political beliefs, but still have respect, decency, and courtesy towards each other.
There's value in moving because just your exposure to people, of thoughts, you can't help but evolve.
We can't complain about not having anything to do, but then complain about progress happening.
Guess what, guys? What's up, man? Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. When it's not that day, it's okay. Everything's okay. We're gonna get high. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. When it's not that day, and it's okay. Order some food. Everything's okay. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. When it's not that day, it's okay. Everything's okay. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way. Spring's on its way.
Welcome to the show. This is 30 Minutes on Q. I am your host, Coach Q. And today, you guys have a treat. We have the CEO of our Chamber of Commerce here in Fayette County, Leonardo McClarty, right?
Yep.
Okay. And so one of the cool things is when I came back to Georgia about 2 years after I got back here, you came back to Georgia. So tell everybody where you're from in Georgia and what brought you back home.
Well, Coach Q, thanks for having me and just being able to talk community, talk, my experiences, background, and so forth. So I grew up here, and it's funny me saying this because I have to get used to it, but I grew up in what is now the city of South Fulton.
Okay.
But it was just unincorporated College Park when I was growing up off Old National back largely in the 80s.
You grew up off of Old National?
I grew up off Old National Highway.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I tell people, I remember when, World Changers was Old National Christian Academy.
Yes.
And that shopping plaza where it's now has his cathedral and offices and all of that, that was back in the day. It was a Kmart. It had a Cub Foods. And, I remember the first iteration of Target when it was on Old National and Sizzler and all of that, so all these memories are coming back. But I grew up here. So we moved, but my family is from the Atlanta area, out in, West Georgia, Douglas County, Winston. But like I said, grew up here around this area, South Metro. Went to middle and high school actually in Sandy Springs, and went on for those old Atlantans that might be watching this who remember the M2M program that they had in DeKalb and Fulton. But ultimately, fast forward, worked here, chamber industry, ended up taking a job also chamber-wise in Maryland, was there 9 years, and really just was ready for a new opportunity. Didn't necessarily, probably much like you in your case, wasn't thinking, I'm trying to go back to Georgia. It just happened. And so, but it's been a blessing, as you see your parents get older, maybe move a little step slower, and to be here and to not have to plan to go and see them, that you can just say, hey, I need to go check on mom, and you go. Or, hey, dad, I got baseball tickets, you want to go to the game? And you're not planning.
Look, that's been one of the biggest highlights for me, is to be home to see my mom in this next chapter of her life. At 21 years old, it's the next chapter of my life. And so to come home at this level of maturity, because I left here as a child, came back here as a full-grown adult that has got bills and all kinds of other things. It has been good to move back home to see things from I'm almost to a point of being a tourist in the state that I grew up in, because there's so many things that changed. And what you do as the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, you are kind of the gatekeeper of change with the communities. You get to see the economic development projects before they even happen in the community. You're privy to a lot of the things that are secretive in the community that might be coming in. And I say might be because if we know in negotiations, if too many people know those things, they can fall through. And if something is planning to be here and it doesn't end up happening, then everybody's upset about it. So one of the things about community and the climate of community right now is the fact that everyone wants to know everything. And if they don't know per se, then they fill in the blanks with the knowledge of what they think it is. And so my first question is, how do you think we can build a stronger community where we trust our systems a lot more?
Yeah. So I think one would be participating in the process.
Okay.
You know, I know you're active heavily, you know, in the NAACP here and as an example, and often talking about voting.
Yes.
And so I think one of the first things is participating in the process.
Okay.
I think the other thing is paying attention to what is happening. And so for me, for those of you that may not know, so yeah, I've been in the chamber industry, but I guess you could say from an education standpoint, my background is city planning. So I have a master's in city planning.
Okay.
I just never wanted to do comp plans, zoning ordinances, sign regulations. I was always fascinated about why things get built where they get built, and why does something choose to go here versus there,
Gotcha.
what happens to the people that lived over there, and that kind of thing. But I use that example to say, oftentimes, I think there's right now probably 2 or 3 things happening. One, people, we're so busy that oftentimes when we're driving, whether that's 54, 74, Highway 85, what have you, and we come up on an intersection and we see this little, looks like a real estate sign, but it might be lime green, it could be baby blue, it could be highlight yellow, it could be orange. But when you see the fluorescent sign and then you see these letters on there that might have XYZ dash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it might have meeting on this date. That should be a signal, if you're interested, pull over.
Right.
Because what they're basically saying is probably a few things. A, there's a development potentially going to happen here, and we need public input.
Right.
Or maybe there's some type of policy change and we need public input.
Yes.
That's the opportunity to weigh in.
Okay.
What oftentimes happens is people wait until they see dirt moving or a crane, and all of a sudden,
what's going here?
And then it's
right?
like, what's going here?
Yeah.
Who told me? Why didn't you let me know?
I didn't vote for this.
And right. And it's like, well, 2 years ago when they had the sign up soliciting for input, that by the time you get to where you see the excavation equipment, it's too late. It's been approved, it's been permitted, etc.
Yes.
So I think the first thing is people paying attention to those signs that are up saying, hey, we want to hear from you.
Right.
I think the other thing is holding elected officials accountable, but I think in a way in which you're asking for information and wanting them to, you know, whether that's town halls, whether that's a newsletter or whatever, but not necessarily accusing just because you didn't like something that they did something wrong.
Yes.
And I think that's where we are right now. We're in this, I guess, accusatory environment that just said, well, I didn't like this, so you must be either doing something illegal, you must,
or taking money.
And it's like, well, no. And part of leadership also is trying to think down the road. And it's much like, you know, you think about as kids, and you mentioned leaving here and coming back as an adult.
Yeah.
Well, there are things that probably your parents told you when you were young that didn't make sense to you. And now, fast forward, you're like, I get it.
Right.
And I think sometimes as elected officials, part of the challenge and that delicate balance is, on the one hand, I need to listen to the public, but I also need to have enough foresight to sometimes make some unpopular decisions, because I'm hopefully doing something that down the road, you know, as a common CD said, you know, one day it will all make sense.
Right.
And so I think that's, you know, one of those things. I think lastly, you know, and again, just because of, I know the work that you've done and we've done together with some of these candidate forums, I think participating even in those, because I would say, you know, I'll be the first to admit, sometimes at night you don't want to go. You want to go home after a long, tough day at work.
Yes.
But you end up being surprised what you learn when you get a chance to move beyond the keyboard warriors and actually sit there and you see 2, 3, 4 people answer the same question. You know, maybe they have notes, maybe they don't. You get a chance to really learn what these people are bringing, where their ideas are, when you see them in this kind of public setting. all answering the same question, all with the same amount of time, so forth.
And asking about their vision, because that's a big thing with the community. I have the saying that we all live in a community, the same community. And if you're not doing something to make the community better, then you're actively making it worse by your lack of participation.
And I think the other thing of it is also sometimes thinking about it like this. I think fundamentally, we want the same things. I mean, generally, I would say, and it may not always be in this order, but most people want, you want clean water, you want safe communities, you want good schools, you want a job that can help you live the life of what lifestyle you want. So generally, we want the same things. The question is, if to use a transportation analogy, do I take 285? Do I take I-20? Do I take 75? I'm still trying to get to the same spot. But it's how we get there that creates the debate and so forth. And sometimes it's not that 285 was wrong. It just might take you longer.
or it's a shorter route.
Or it's a shorter route. I mean, so it depends. And so that's the other part of this as well. And so it's just, it's not so much sometimes the what, it's the how.
Now, speaking of shorter route, do you find now, because like I said, we grew up in a different time. We couldn't swipe on anything. I mean, we were playing Atari with a joystick, But with the ease of information and how easy it is to grab your phone and swipe to get something, I think people correlate that to how life actually happens. Life doesn't always happen that fast. And so, development projects take some time. I had a talk with Daryl Hicks. And we talked about how long it took to get U.S. soccer here. It didn't just get approved last year. They started building. It took years prior to when I moved back here.
So yes, because to your point, and to put in perspective, so I started here. I started this job November of 23. And so at that time, I was going back and forth to Maryland because we were trying to sell the house. Family hadn't moved yet, and so Nikki Vanderslice, who's the CEO of the Fayette Development Authority, she was like, okay, well, look, I know you're going back and forth. I need to give you some dates to put on your calendar. Well, one of those dates was like maybe like a Thursday in December or whatever, first week in December. But they were having the announcement, and I think soccer was having a reception to make the announcement. So again, even at that point, they're making the announcement officially that soccer is coming
agreed to a deal that was
welcome to the community and everything. So this is December of 23, and the facility doesn't open until spring, like we're talking about maybe a month ago, of 26. And so, so the fact of even on the construction, from announcement to actually facility doors opening, players training. This is like about 2.5 years. And then to your point, you back into that, and there's probably easily another possibly a year or two as they're making the decision to actually come from Chicago and so forth. I think another example you probably have heard a good bit about is, like, for instance, right now in downtown Fayetteville, there's a mixed-use development that's taking place right there at 54 and Lanier. And, I heard Mayor Johnson make a statement. I think it might have been, I forgot which meeting, but he said something to the effect of, this was either approved or before us 5 years ago. But the fact that maybe economic conditions, who knows, is taking that amount of time from when they maybe initially presented concept, maybe got approved, to now you've seen trees come down. And I'll be the first to admit, I live a few miles down. It's a big difference when you go through that intersection and you don't see.
It looks different.
It looks, but at the same time, this was 5 years in the making to just get to dirt churning. And now it would probably be another, at least probably 18 months, give or take, between when it's finished or whatever.
And the other thing is we can't complain about not having anything to do. But then complain about progress happening. And so there's a fine line that you walk in, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. And this is why I'm so much more involved in the community. The first time that I ran for office was in California, so in 2020.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was a business owner. I did stuff in the community, but it was at a limited level of what my schedule would allow.
Yeah.
I believe now with the advancements in technology, we have the ability to be informed straight to our phone.
Yeah.
When I first moved back here, the county commission didn't even have video.
Yeah.
So now they have video where you can live stream where those working people who can't get off and go to a 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock meeting, you can just pull it up on your phone.
No, you're right. I mean, I think participation has definitely gotten easier. I mean,
Yes.
I even remember the previous community that I was in during COVID, they were just starting the comprehensive plan update.
Gotcha.
Well, the thing that came out as a result of the pandemic was they got more public participation
People had time.
because now what the consultant was able to do was to have a bunch, they could add a lot more public meetings because they were all over WebEx.
Mhm.
And so now all of a sudden, as opposed to just 3 Saturday mornings at the library, you've got maybe 3 days during the course of the week and a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So anybody that could participate could participate.
Gotcha.
And so I think certainly with technology, there are certainly ways to be informed, and particularly to be informed where you're getting information directly and not, there's something to be said for blogs and social and everything, but at the same time, trying to sift through and that whole bit of trust but verify.
There you go. I was gonna say that's opinion too.
Yeah.
A lot of those things are what we think about that.
Right.
But there's no better way to get information than through the horse's mouth, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do. I really appreciate the fact that, and since you've been here, the chamber events that you do, that you guys, your team coordinates, are really good at giving information to the community. I did Leadership Fayette because of the way you guys promoted it, and because of my interest in seeing how this county actually worked.
Yeah.
So anybody out there, I recommend that you sign up for the Leadership Fayette program. I think the next session is starting in August.
Yeah.
And you guys just finished with
we just finished the class.
the interviews, right?
Yeah, we just finished. So we've made the selection. The next program, like you said, starts in August. And I would say what we're even learning as we continue to, I guess, have Leadership Fayette evolve is that, so we've started also now with this Leadership Fayette alumni program.
Yes.
And part of it is because, as an example, if you did Leadership Fayette 6 years ago, some of the community issues 6 years ago are maybe not fully the same issues, or they've evolved.
Right.
And so, for instance, I think it might have been your class was the first class that we did a housing and sustainability.
Yes.
And it's because of the fact that one of the community challenges we talk about is housing affordability, but also even as we talk about, trees and water and whatever, so adding that to the mix. So I would say the other thing with Leadership Fayette is it's a constant evolution, because on the one hand, it's a community leadership program, but the community is changing.
It's changing, yes.
And so, lastly, I'll just say this, and there are a lot of people in Fayette County that grew up here, but what was fascinating to me was to see on the applications, there was probably, we got a class, I think this year's gonna be the biggest class, I think maybe 27, 28 people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And which we normally hover around 25,
Right.
but we had like 33 applicants.
Wow.
And so, but to see easily close to a third when you, because from the application it asks like where'd you grow up, where'd you high school,
Right.
that are like New York, Mississippi,
Yeah.
that they're, so it's always interesting to see, you may feel something that, hey, look into the eyes and see if something's changing, but it's always interesting when you see the actual data or data point that says something, is that this reiterates what I'm seeing with the eye, what I'm feeling with the gut.
Exactly.
But this is in black and white.
Yeah. And look, the numbers of people moving from other states here, that's proven. We know that, you know, and so I think that adds another layer to that leadership, because your perspective, my perspective of growing up in Georgia, staying majority of my life in California, and then moving back to Georgia was different, you know?
And I would say I can say this now, probably may not wouldn't have said this, say, 15 years ago. But there's value in moving because just your exposure to people, of thoughts, you can't help but evolve.
Yes.
And so that's probably been one of the things is I had somebody tell me this when I was moving, and I think she was asking at the time I had just moved, and she said, well, how are things going? I said, even though I grew up here, I said, I'm adjusting. I said, it's different. And what she said to me was, she said, you were gone for 9 years. And she said, 2 things happened in 9 years. She said, you're not the same person you're not the same person that moved.
Right.
And Atlanta's not the same place you left.
You left, exactly. Yeah.
And so, it just was one of those almost like,
But it's a moment of clarity.
Yes.
It's a moment of clarity. Fulton County Stadium was still up for now.
Hey, and the fact that you don't even have, now you've got just a little blue wall that commemorates Hank Aaron's home run.
Yeah, right.
And,
but I agree with you wholeheartedly. The military, traveling around the world, gave me such a different perspective. And even now when I go on vacations, if we go, my wife's from Europe, when we go to visit her family or go to vacation with them, we pick a place in Europe. And we'll stay in the local community, not a hotel. Because now you're not getting a tourist experience. You're getting the experience of the people who live there. We did that in Italy, and it was it took us a couple of days to get acclimated. But once we were there and the locals started talking to us and telling us where to go, you see different things than tourists see, And so that was an enlightening experience, to say the least, And so, listen, like I said in the beginning, we want to give the community an opportunity to know you. So some of the questions I'm going to ask you now are about you personally.
Right.
What's your favorite book?
Favorite book? Probably, and I'm probably Good to Great.
Okay, Good to Great.
Yeah,
Right.
And I think, and certainly from I guess I would say I would say Good to Great.
Okay. Amongst your friends and your family, what are you best known for?
Probably being silly.
Being silly? I don't believe that. I've not seen it, so
that's probably, especially at home, and some of the things that I might say just off the cuff.
What is the one thing in your life that you can point to and say, that is my favorite memory?
Wow, favorite memory. That's a really good question.
If your wife is watching this and you don't mention her.
And I'm trying to think. Honestly, I think it is, certainly, I guess I would say maybe 3 favorite memories. Getting married, and then the other 2 would be the birth of my daughters.
Your kids. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite musical artist?
I'm a big Jill Scott fan.
Jill Scott?
Yeah, that's my girl.
Nothing old school. No, she's coming here, right?
Yeah, and I would say if I had to go older, and my wife might even say Earth, Wind, and Fire, because I play the heck out some Earth, Wind, and Fire.
And they're coming here too, right?
Yeah.
On the 19th.
Oh, wow.
I got tickets.
Okay.
So
Yes.
Yeah. What is one of the most common misconceptions about you?
Misconceptions. You know what? Honestly, I guess if anything, maybe because when I mentioned the fact that sometimes family scene is maybe sometimes, I don't know, not so serious guy, but I think the fact that people may not always, and I think we do this with beyond just myself. Oftentimes, depending on what we do, we may wear 2 hats. Yeah. This is my job, and thus, maybe I've got to be measured. I've got to be thinking about a number of different things. But then at home, I can kind of just let loose.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe sometimes that, I'm probably a conservative guy by nature, but I may not always be as buttoned up.
Okay. That's your Omega side right there. If you were not the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and you could pick any career choice, what would you be doing?
I would probably be real estate developer.
Real estate development. Okay.
I mean, I've always, like I said, part of even what I do and I've just been fascinated about why things get built,
Mhm.
and so that it's intriguing. So that's probably what I would.
What's your favorite movie?
Trying to think to be able to say favorite, because that's not mean it is one.
You can't pick three like the favorite.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to sit here and think. What would I'm gonna go with Coming to America.
Really? The first one or the second?
The
first.
The first.
The only one.
Yeah. I mean,
the other one was Coming to Rick Ross's house.
Yeah, right.
Okay, if you could change anything about the world, what would it be?
I would say that people would be nicer.
People would be nicer. Okay. More kindness.
Yeah.
Did you read the shirt that I gave you today?
Be kind.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's one of my things, and I'll tell you how that came about.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020, when I first ran for office, we know the time period of you know what had happened with the presidency and things like that. When I ran for office, the first question that I got was, "What qualifies you to run for office?" Now, I'm a dual service veteran, small business owner, all of the things that, and I lived in that community.
Yeah.
But the first question was, "What qualifies me?" You know, and it was meant from a space of harm.
Yeah.
And the entire time that I'm running for office, it was those types of comments and things coming. It's moving back to Georgia. I've seen it more, right? And so at the end of the campaign, I said, you know what's missing with what we're doing with this community? We've lost our kindness. We've lost the ability to be kind to each other. And so I made all these Be Kind, that design logo. I did that. And I left banners all over. It was Costa Mesa, California. I left banners all over. And then the mayor did a Be Kind Costa Mesa Day. And so that is a proclamation that's there. And I thought, okay, we need to do something like this in Fayette County, because my one belief is that with what you're saying, with people being nicer, when people are face to face, that animosity between each other, especially when you're doing work together, and I experience this with leadership, you can have different political beliefs, but still have respect, decency, and courtesy towards each other. Absolutely. And so I think that you're right with that, of how we can, be more kind towards each other.
And I think, unfortunately, I feel like over the last, probably decade, what's happened is, and this is not to have a political discussion, I think it's a case, but I'm a guy, we've talked, I think, offline, I played sports. So I played Little League Baseball, starting at T-ball, and played that from age 5 to 14, where when I got to high school, I said, well, my sport's gonna be football, so I'm gonna run track. And so I started running track in high school. But played football literally from age 6, every single year up until I couldn't play anymore because I was a senior in college, not eligibility, and wasn't going pro. But I say that to say I'm a sports guy. And the thing that, one of the sayings in sports is that a team takes on the personality of its coach. And I feel like what's happened is, as a country, we're taking on the personality of our coach. And so, and so, not getting into the policy side of things, but just personality. I think one of the reasons we are, as a country, particularly, is because we're taking on the personality of our coach. And I'll leave it at that.
Hey, that's gold right there, bro. Seriously. All right, 2 more questions, and then I'll let you get out of here. What is one lesson that you would like to leave with your daughters?
One lesson. It's kind of it's a spiritual lesson. I think one, love God, keep God first. Hopefully let your actions reflect that you are a child of God. And that Daddy modeled how a man should treat you.
Yes. I had this conversation with my younger brother last week. He's got 2 girls, and I said, you know, those girls are looking at you as an example of the guy that they're going to marry or date, you know. All right, last question. Before you leave this earth, what is one thing that you hope to accomplish?
One thing that I hope to accomplish. I can't necessarily think of one specific thing, but the one thing that I guess that I live by and would say is that, one, that folks would be able to look at me and look at my life and say he made a difference.
Okay.
That's the I work and try to have this moniker, if you will, that one, I left things better than I found them. That I always, that's what pushes me, is that, you know, when they say Leonardo was here, that it was positive. You know, my great grandmother lived to be, I think, 102.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so one of the things she instilled in my mom and you know, was just, you know, your name is all you got.
Yes. Okay.
And so
your name and your word, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so for me, it's always thinking that if my name is attached to it, that hopefully people will have saw that it was quality, it was impactful, I made a difference, but that, you know, my name is good. So that's if that's what I've got to stand on and end, that hey, I made a difference and my name is good.
Nice. All right, there you guys have it. We are in the city. We're in the county of Fayette County. This is Leonardo McClarty. He's the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce here. Please tell people how they can find out more information about the Chamber of Commerce.
So just visit us on the Chamber website. It is fayettechamber.org. We're on various social medias between Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so forth. But just go to fayettechamber.org.
All right. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll talk again soon.
Awesome.